How are we doing this morning?
Should I
Pretty enthusiastic. That was better than I planned, so that's good. So today I'm just going to give a quick presentation on this, and then we might do a quick activity, and then I'll be answering some questions. So I'm just going to put that out there because I know sometimes when the presenter is like, okay, questions, and you're like, well, I don't know. So I'm warning you now that there will be a question and answer at the end of this. So anything about what I've talked about today, or what it's like to run for state or national office, I'd be happy to answer any questions. So just keep that in your mind. If you want to brainstorm any questions you want to ask later so that we're not all sitting here, that'd be great. So today I'm going to talk, well actually I should first ask the question, how many of you, it doesn't have to be necessarily in BPA, but how many of you have been to a presentation about leadership? Just by a show of hands. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So pretty much all of us. So that's why today I'm going to talk about leadership and why it is very, very, very overrated. And what I mean by that is the traditional term of leadership. And a lot of us have been to these presentations where we hear about leadership and the ideal leader and what you should do to be a better leader. And honestly, we've all heard it, and it gets very old after the times hearing what an ideal leader should be. So today I'm going to talk about what I think leadership truly is, and how really anybody can be a leader no matter who you are or no matter what you do. So just some of the terms that often get associated with leadership, say communication, professionalism, guidance, organization, and all those other things that just get lumped together by saying, you know, if you're a good leader, you have to be organized. And sometimes we get that thought in our minds from all these presentations. And while a lot of these things can certainly help you be a better person and be a better leader in our society, they're nothing having to do with the definition of leadership themselves. So I'll go into that later in the presentation, but I just wanted to, I mean, how many of you have seen these words in some leadership presentation of some kind? Yeah, and a lot of the times, you know, you don't necessarily have to be organized to be a good leader. You don't have to necessarily, you know, be extroverted to be a great leader, and I'll talk about that later. So yeah, like I'm saying, leadership can't be put in a box. A lot of these presentations we go to, we say, oh, you know, a good leader, he's funny, charismatic, and loud. And then they also say, well, you should be a leader. Everybody should be a leader. And well, if the world was full of funny, charismatic, loud people, we'd live in a very annoying world. So, you know, like we're all unique, and by that very definition, the definition of leader must be flexible. So I'll go into what I think kind of a leader means later in the presentation, but we're all unique, and if we want to all be leaders, obviously the definition of a leader has to be flexible. So just keep that in mind when we're going on in our lives, that just to lead a group or lead a team, you don't have to fit into a box. You can easily be yourself, be who you want to be. If you're a quiet person, be a quiet person, and you can still lead effectively, and just keep that in mind. And yeah, don't limit your personality. The next thing I guess I'd like to cover is following is okay. We hear so much about how we have to lead and we have to be great leaders in our world. But not everybody has to be what we see as the traditional leader. And we need followers in this world. And you can still be an effective leader or a productive member in society without having a position of leadership or importance in the world. Subordinate positions are equally important, and we'll play a little activity at the end of this presentation that proves that leaders that we necessarily consider traditional leaders aren't necessarily more important than the subordinate positions. So we look at everybody else who's under a leader in a team. They're just as equally as important because they all get the workload done. And yeah, and I think there's a quote that, what is it, some of the greatest leaders are also the greatest followers. So also keep that in mind, that if you want to be a great leader, you don't have to be a great leader all the time. And that it's okay to take direction from other people at sometimes, especially when you're new at a skill set. Say you just joined a team or you just learned a new skill. You don't necessarily have to take a traditional leadership role. And it's certainly okay to learn and to be a follower sometimes. And the other thing, position is not leadership. We see people of high positions and we think, oh man, that guy or that lady, she is a leader. But that's not really what it means. In my opinion, the definition of to lead is to catalyze productivity. I know it's like a big mouthful, I don't know. But I guess what I mean by that, does anybody kind of have a guess of like what catalyze means? Like everybody somewhat? Yeah. yeah, to speed up something. And so productivity, the main purpose of a team is you have a team and it has an end goal, right? It has an end task that it wants to complete. And how it does that and how it gets to that task is through productivity, by getting things done. And so leadership is added to a team in order to boost that productivity, to get to that end goal more efficiently. So leadership isn't necessarily always telling what people to do, but simply to make sure that that productivity happens more efficiently. And that can be done in a variety of ways, which I'll cover in the next slide. So yeah, like I said, leadership is an acquired skill. Not everybody fits that leadership position, or that ideal leader as we call it. Okay, so delegating is easy, real leaders work. This is kind of like the main point I have today, is that, yeah, humans are monkeys, that's my main point. I'll explain that, but setting an example is the best way, I think, to catalyze that productivity. So if you have a group of team members and they're all working towards a common goal, and you're acting productively and you're getting a lot of things done and you're setting an example for others, that's going to be far more effective at catalyzing that productivity, which is we've kind of covered is the definition of leadership, as opposed to just telling people what to do. So sometimes, yes, delegating is necessary, but the most effective is always just doing what you have to do. And we look at leadership roles as somebody who's good at telling people what to do, or are good at speaking to people, and that's not necessarily the case. Really, leadership is just a good worker, somebody who adds productivity to the team. And why I say humans are monkeys in here is that we like to think of ourselves, you know, these amazing sentinel beings that say, hey, we're good at taking instructions and we're good at telling people what to do. But really, humans, monkey see, monkey do, setting the example is by far the most effective. What you do has the largest influence on your team than what you say, as opposed to what you say. So, with that in mind, we're going to play a little activity game here. So, let's see, we have like 3 main sections, right? The motorcycles, bikes, and cars, correct? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, we'll just do like, here is a section, and like, here is a section. So these 2 aisles, we'll split it up into 3. And then within your 3, I'm going to like cut you in half. So like, here's half. So like, you guys are a group, right? And then this is a half, so you guys are a group. And then I'll cut this middle group in half, like right here. So you guys, wow, that's a huge group. Good luck. And then you guys are a group right here. And then same for the other side. So half and half, kind of go that. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups total. And so what I'm going to have you do is try, let's see, how do I explain it? So within your group, you're going to try to round up as many things as you can see on these screens. So you're going to try to round up 8 pens, 8 bags, 5 ponytails, 3 pins, etc. However, we're going to have a little spin on it. So we have 1, 2, 3. So these 3, right? This top of this middle group, and then this side of the room. Within your respective group, you're going to have 6 leaders, right? You're going to have 6 people within your group, and they cannot contribute to any of these. They are more than welcome to tell people what to do or try to aid people in finding them, but they cannot contribute or actively search out for these things themselves. And when you're making your pile of these things, only the leader can put your item in that pile. Does that make sense? Is there questions about that? So they can't contribute, they can't actively search, and they have to put the physical item in the pile. But they can tell you what to do. And then on this side of the room, and in the back half of this middle group, within your groups, you're similarly going to have 6 leaders. However, they can actively search out for these things, they can contribute to the group, and anybody can add to the pile. Actually, and you know I said 6, but these are pretty big groups. So let's make the designated leaders actually a group of 9. So you have 9 leaders within your respective groups. So is everybody clear on these instructions? Are we good? Is there any questions? Okay, so get in your groups and try to, I'm going to give you 2 minutes.
Should I just like film like random people? I don't really want to do that. I don't want to. I'll just like... Okay. We'll just film this group.
Does anyone really want to be a leader? Who wants to be a leader? There's one, two. Right, were you raising your hand? Did we? No.
We're just going to somebody else.
So raise your hand if you're a leader. Raise your hand if you want to be a leader. You got it.
Wait, I should ask that lady if I ever like share the other chats.
Yeah.
For what?
Okay.
And we're part of the action group, so leaders
Wait,
can
what?
help.
Leaders can help. Awesome. Okay, so leaders, do you guys want to kind of start off with focusing on a certain area?
Should I like walk around and film
I
people?
can do that.
Yeah.
Bakes? Ponytails? Okay, sweet. Bakes? Okay. Everybody, okay. Name
It's called motivation.
Okay, timeline is up. Everybody will go back to our respective seating, and then we'll see how we did. Sorry. It's a tough one.
Excuse me.
With the leaders who were able to contribute and actively search out, it was this side, yeah? Right? Okay. Okay, and how were we able to do? Okay. So, top front row people. How were we able to do? Were we able to get like all of it? Okay, that's good. Hopefully this is working so far. Okay, what about the back group? Were you able to get everything? Everything but the pins. Okay, we're still doing well. Okay. And for the middle group, which was it the back side or the front side who was able to contribute? Back side? Okay, and how were you guys able to do? You got everything? Okay. And cool. So we did still pretty well. Now for my other groups where the leaders were not allowed to contribute, did you follow that rule where the leaders not, like the 8, what did I say, 8, weren't allowed to contribute? Okay, and how did you guys do? Okay, well, okay, that's okay. Hey, sometimes simulations don't work. And what about these people over here? Fairly well? Okay, and back group? Okay, well, so obviously I mean, it could be attributed to a variety of variables. Maybe I should have had some more challenging things up here. But anyway, if this simulation were to work, and if I was maybe to use some like more difficult things, what do you guys think would, do you think the leaders who were able to contribute, or maybe if a greater percentage of the people were leaders, if I had like a higher number of leaders, that might have worked well too. But do you guys think that the leaders who were able to contribute, ultimately, in theory, we're going to be able to produce more and more effectively? Yes. Okay, cool. So that's simulation. So basically the point of this activity is to just prove that leaders who are just stand in the back and don't contribute and who don't lead by example aren't really effective in catalyzing productivity. So if we want to get a team to where it's going, we have to be leaders who are actively engaged in our team and actively working. And once again, we don't have to necessarily be this romanticized leader. You don't have to be anybody who you not already are. So if you are a quiet person, or whoever you may be, right? Whether if you think accounting is fun, or if you have a tie collection, no matter who you are, you can still be a leader without having an idealized sense of being a leader. As long as you contribute to your group, I think you can be an effective leader by setting by example. So yeah, basically the best way that we can lead is simply find what we love to do and then work hard at what we do to set an example. And I put we because I have no idea what I love to do yet, so I'm still finding that, and as I'm sure we all are. So really, once we find our passion and we do it well, we set by example, that's really all leadership asks of us. We don't have to tell people what to do all the time. We don't always have to take a position of leadership position. As long as we set an example and work hard in our passions, that's leadership to us. So that's why I say traditional leadership is a little overrated. I like this term of leadership better also, because sometimes it makes you feel, I guess, what's the word? Less important when you're not technically considered a leader. But if we all consider ourselves leaders by working hard, it'll make us feel a lot more confident and much more content in our lives. So I think that's the true definition of leadership. I don't know what you guys think, but that's my activity and presentation. Also, I'd like to take a Snapchat for the National BPA because I'm required to do so on Sundays and Tuesdays. So, oh wait, today's a Monday, but that's okay. We'll still take it good. So I'm gonna say, get a what? With the what? Oh, at each group. Okay, I'll take like a selfie that goes all the way around. It'll be like a video.
A video.
So I'm gonna say, who can be a leader, and then we're gonna say anybody can be a leader.
Okay, I'm
Because leadership or about what it's like running for state or being a national officer. Yeah, I'd be happy to answer anything. So questions? Yeah.
How much of your life is consumed by BPA?
Oh, I know what you mean. That's a good question. Okay, well, I'm gonna respond to that in the number of emails that I answer per day, because I'd say that's like a good measurement for how much of an activity consumes your life. I'd say I respond to like an average of 4 BPA-related emails every night. I mean, that's not that bad. But also, like just tonight, I have a webinar, I have a conference call with my national officer team. We're going to talk about the tweetathon coming up this October, which everybody should definitely be a part of. So I'd say like a good 15% of my free time or extracurricular time is consumed by a national officer position. Yeah.
Do you get paid for being a national officer?
I wish I got paid. No, it's all just volunteer. I mean, they pay for my trips and they bought me the suit, so I guess that'd be considered getting paid. Yeah.
I think it's just BPA and...
So in July, we had our national officer orientation, and that was in Columbus, and we got to go check out the National Center. And then also, the presidents serve on the national board of BPA, so we're like the board of trustees, and we decide decisions for the organization. And we met in July in Orlando, and then I'll be able to go back to Orlando to meet with the national officer team in January, and then of course for NLC. So, question? Yeah. Okay.
National underscore and then capital. I did.
Oh, yeah. I did a trash can?
No, it wasn't true.
Oh, I didn't do a trash can. My first object was water, which I realized it was actually called cannons. Previous year, I don't know if you remember any of that, but my first object was water, and then my second object was a pencil, right? Yeah. More, yeah. Okay. Stranger Things, by far. Yeah, I'll get around to that. Yeah. Okay, any more questions? Yeah. Oh, I think that's the end of the questions right there. I'm not going to answer that one. Okay. Any more questions on leadership or business professionals in America? Yeah. So to be a state officer, I think, well, I mean, just some of the best qualifications, obviously, would be to serve locally in your chapter is a big one, and to be knowledgeable. And I know you have to be a statesman. Is that correct? You have to be a statesman ambassador, or a torch recipient. So torch local officers, and really just be involved in your chapter and in the state for BPA and passionate about it. Be the best qualifications. Anything else? All right, well, thank you so much for letting me speak.